Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Dr. Klara Gubacs-Collins, who doesn't just teach motivation, she teaches execution under pressure. A high performance strategist, author of Your Good is Good Enough, and former professor. She helps athletes, executives, and high achievers stop overthinking and start performing when it actually counts. Her core message is simply but disruptive. Under pressure, you don't lose confidence, you lose access to it. And if you don't know how to reset it, you stay stuck. With over 25 years of experience, she developed the performance rest system to help people recover fast from mistakes, regulate emotional triggers, and perform freely without carrying the weight of proving themselves. It is my pleasure to introduce you. How are you today?
Oh, thank you so much. It is my pleasure to speak with you because I was listening a bunch of your podcasts, and if people are not haven't listened to them yet, I strongly encourage them because it is very informative. I learned a lot about the 2008 stuff. I learned about overcoming because everybody's stories is different,
Yes.
and you can always have a snippet, pick it up from the different places and and investing, and I mean you have a huge variety of topics, so it was very exciting to listen to, and I would not have known who you are
Yeah.
until now.
Well,
So
no, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So, why don't you tell me, start by telling me a bit about you, your background, where you're originally from, and how was your upbringing?
yeah, so originally I was born and raised in Budapest, Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
So I am Hungarian by birth. And I was thrown into, I just didn't even want to be. I would say I'm an athlete first and a woman second, to be
Okay.
perfectly honest.
Yeah.
And I was thrown into the world of sports. And back then it was mostly boys that were playing the
Mm-hmm.
sports back in Hungary, a
Yep.
couple of 57 years ago. And so I learned a lot in throughout that process of how to maintain your mindset, how to succeed even in against all odds, as your book is also saying.
Yep.
The world said no, like the boys were telling me no, I cannot
Mm-hmm.
come and play soccer with them because I'm a girl.
Yeah.
Well, that no didn't last too long.
Yeah.
So
Good.
I got in Hungary, the university system is very different because you can only get in if you are one of the best if you are um the best of the top 50 in the country in women and top 50 in the country in
Oh,
men.
wow. Really? Okay. Got
That's
you.
how you can get in.
Yeah.
And they only took the top players. And I always loved sports. I absolutely did not think about teaching or coaching, none of those.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to be in that environment. And so then I finished my college. I came in on 45th, pretty much dead last, and I finished first 4 years later. And it opened up opportunities for me in America.
Mm-hmm.
So I came to America, got my master's at Montclair State University, and then I saw, and this is what I also teach people in my book, and Your Good is Good Enough, that when I was watching how professors live, how free their life is, even though it took me 7 years to get to the point that I didn't have to work on Sundays, but it's still such a freedom. I said, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. I'm in love with this concept. So I never set out at age 10 to have a PhD. But
Mm,
then when I saw that, and
yeah.
I said, wait a minute, I can use my brain, I can use my body in physical education, and I can have the freedom to set my own time, more or less. This is my world.
Yeah.
So I set out. I got my PhD at Amherst, Massachusetts, at UMass, and I got a job at the different universities, and this is here I am, and
Yeah.
I've been doing the job 30 years now, and I really did follow what I love. And yes, you can overcome anything,
Mm,
as I would say with what you say, if you
yeah.
love it, if you're
Got you.
committed to it.
No, and that's huge, and that's a great point. I think once you set your mind into something, right? Like you said, you're definitely are going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you follow through, right? And so that is amazing. So what kind of teaching were you doing? Was it also in physical type
Yes,
of
so I
teaching?
got my first degree was in physical education coaching, and then my doctorate was in exercise science and physical education. So it's a doctor of education and the different sciences. But I was specialized into pedagogy, the teaching of the teaching.
Okay,
That's
got you.
what we call pedagogy. And I was specialized in a variety of sports and games teaching because I have coached, played, or competed over 20 different sports in my lifetime.
Okay.
And I achieved five different championships, high level championships in different sports. So I just love to compete. I love to perform. You give me a stage, I take it,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I like that, and naturally, we as human beings, right? We like to win challenges, right? We want to make sure that we come
Mhm.
ahead. It's just a matter of, I think, what we're missing is maybe kind of like your book, right? I feel like I'm not good enough. So no, you're good is good enough, right? But again, is that self-confidence? Maybe we don't believe in ourselves. Maybe there's a lot of different elements, right? Because
Mhm.
we're wired automatically to win something, except again we do not get challenged enough and or we're afraid to enter that challenge because again we may feel like we're not good enough. I like what you have here in your background. You have disruption, reset, control, right? Tell me
Yes.
about that concept.
Okay, so I'll just imagine a situation. I just participated in that in a TV show. I was in San Diego in a live TV show,
Mm,
and the person that has been doing was my interviewer. He is a perfectionist. He said, I am so scared about this interview because you're gonna see through me. And I said, listen, I'm a recovering perfectionist because I have to say, just like alcoholics, you
hmm.
can never really give that need up to be perfect. So I can
Hmm.
always be just a recovering perfectionist. It's always
Yeah.
gonna be that need. And so his microphone wasn't working, and we were 30 seconds from live, like really live, that nothing edited, nothing. And so he just went into this panic a little bit, and I said, okay, I did the reset system with him, and I said, number one, it's such a cliche, but it's so important. Taking a very, very deep breath because we just had the disruption. He got disrupted because nothing didn't think the situation didn't go as well as he planned. So his microphone is not working. It's really not a big deal, but if you think about it, if it attached to your identity
Hmm.
to a certain extent, how am I going to perform? How is this show going to go? Then suddenly it becomes very important.
Mm,
So the disruption usually happens when some kind of an event happens that is too close to our sense of identity.
got it. Yeah.
So in his case, if his microphone wasn't working when he is delivering I don't know, a toast to someone, he would not have cared.
Hmm.
But this is his job. And he is phenomenal at his job. So it is attaching. So the number one thing we have to do is that disruption many, many times doesn't come from confidence or lack of confidence or anything like that. There is an event that happens that changes our energetic system. And a lot of times it changes our energetic system because the disruption brings up a particular trigger memory
Mm,
from which our identity started to develop from. So it threatens us. It literally threatens us. So that's the disruption.
okay.
And the next step really is the reset process, honestly, is that very simple thing, very deep breath in and a much longer breath out. And as you're doing it, I want you to think about the goal. What is the goal?
Mm,
Not what's happening right now. What is the goal? What do you want to accomplish? Because when we are in that panic situation, then the drama absolutely takes precedence. But when the brain needs a direction, and the brain needs a positive direction. So in this case, right now, in my disruption, I had to think about what's most important. My most important thing is that immediately be back with you.
mhm.
You are my goal. Doing well in here is my goal.
Right.
So that's my next. And then you say literally just some kind of a word such as next. Because what's the next thing, the next step for me to achieve the goal and stabilize the disruption?
Okay.
Now, this is only, and the next for me, again, is to continue the topic that we were talking about. So in his case, I brought him through this whole thing. And I said, okay, and next solution. If your microphone doesn't work, you talk into my microphone. We just come a little closer to each other.
Right.
Life is good.
Yeah.
So the brain, if you ask it to provide the positive solution, it is very quick in doing so.
Mm,
But you have to take it out of that spiraling. And that spiraling is immediately stop, take a breath. What's your goal? What's your goal with this shot? What's your goal with this show? What's your goal with this presentation? What is your goal at that moment? Not a month from now, that moment.
yeah.
So, but this is just on the fly when you had the problem. But this is a process that we have to do. We have to go through. If when somebody is working with me, I have to go in and help them discovering all those original trigger points that have developed through the decades, probably from childhood.
Okay.
Those are the ones that cause the disruption. And then we clear them out. There are several methods that I use, up to 10, 12 different methods that I use. We clear out the effects of those disruption. And then we reset by finding a different message that the brain needs to get in those situations, and we anchor them.
Got it. Yeah. No, I love that. And it reminds me of, like you said, this could be, doesn't have necessarily have to be in just work or business life. It just life in general, right? And,
Yes,
and I believe um that, like you said, disruptions happen all the time, right? Society, politics, social media, there's so many things that can contribute to the disruption of whatever you have going on. And it's kind of like that saying, it's not necessarily what is happening to you, but it's what are you going to do about it? And what is the actions you're taking to do,
correct,
right? And so
correct.
I think that's a huge part of that. And I like that, because again, you're bringing people into understanding that, like, hey, it's not okay that something happened to you, or it's not okay that somebody took advantage of you. And again, life happens. What are we going to do about it, right? And so that's where you're helping people bridge that gap, right?
Actually, that's a perfect way that you summarized it. Because I just had a conversation. I'm trying to sell one of the apartments in
Hmm.
in Hungary that I invested in, and we were just talking that I have a phenomenal lawyer. I love her dearly, but we are presented with the same fact. We have a potential buyer now, and they asked, as it's usual, that their lawyer puts together the first version of the contract. And I cannot show it to my lawyer yet because her brain is wired to see what could potentially go wrong.
Mm,
And my brain is wired to see how well this is going to go.
right.
And so a lot of times I can't let her know the first step of the process because it just puts a cloud on the whole situation. So I'm training her, but I haven't known her long enough yet. I'm training her to say, no, no, see the opportunity. And it's just literally a switch. So That
Yeah.
negative feeling is going to create the negative thought is going to create a negative feeling in you. If you, and it's not gonna lie, you will feel it.
Yeah.
And the moment you feel that you're pulling in and you are closing up, check back in here. What was the last set of thoughts?
Right.
Can we reframe that last set of thoughts to see this otherwise truly beautiful world from a different perspective? It doesn't mean that I'm stupid, that I don't see there are wars, there are this, there are hunger. It's not that. But me thinking negatively about it and being affected, I'm not going to change anything except maybe I make it worse.
Right.
But if I think positively about it, my positive energy may make the next person who may be able to do something about it more powerful and able to do something about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know I know I'm annoying, and my family says I'm quite annoying when, because I see it, I am hit when something hits me, I am hit. I take a moment, but then I said, okay, what is truly, I'm saying, what is the opportunity in this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You
No, I
know?
I love that. Tell me a little bit about, your book. I love the title. You're good is good enough. Tell me a little bit about who is that book for, number one. Number two, what are some like lessons, right? Or what do you want that reader to walk away once they read your book? If they can walk away with at least one thing, what would that be? Or multiple things?
Okay, so first of all, I intentionally put this book through a very rigorous pre-publication
Okay.
editing process. So I sent this book out to, I think, 14, 15 people from very different backgrounds. Out of that 14, 7 people had no idea who the heck I am
Okay.
and wanted to see what their response is. And I can tell you that the book, even though it's supposed to niche down and sell it to a particular population, but even a woman that said to me, she wrote to me, she says, listen, I hate sports. And you have a bunch of sports analogies, and I hate sports, but I love the book.
Mm,
So the messages that I am weaving into it, I may use some of the sports analogy. I may use from my teaching. I use from my caregiving, because I don't know if you know this about me, but my husband just passed away last October,
oh
in
no, sorry.
October
Yeah.
2025. And I took care of him for 7 years with vascular dementia.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of material in there of how to overcome that kind of a challenge in life, especially for high achievers like you and me, and
Mm-hmm.
probably most of your listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly the world just stops. Suddenly your course that you set out to go on, like I had a fantastic business budding, great clientele. I just had in 2016, I just had an interview with the football giants, the New York giants in New York. So it's like everything was just opening up, and suddenly I had to shut down everything or just put it in just in a mild level. And to know how to look about, one of my biggest things that I want people to learn from the book
Mm-hmm.
is that we are always faced with decisions. Like in
Mm,
this case, I was faced with a very, very difficult decision. Am I going to shut down that whole business so I can focus on my university job, which brings in the money and the steady paycheck?
mm-hmm.
Wasn't the most fulfilling part of my life anymore, because the leadership have changed so much. The students and teaching was always my best. I love teaching, but I could have given that one up, but I couldn't because of the everything, the medical insurance for my husband, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make decisions. Taking care of Ron, university job, and I'm still having to run the business. Plus, I had to take over our educational foundation as
Right.
a president. So I say to the people, look, literally look at yourself about 10, 15 years from now, that self of yours, and really put yourself in that situation and look back to today. Would you have been proud of decision A, decision B, or decision C?
Mm,
And this is so powerful and, again, so simple. And we don't do this. Because at this moment, maybe, oh, wait, my business is really good. It's raking in a lot of money. I'm blah, blah, blah. But is this something that 15, 20 years from now, I'm going to be most proud of? Or the fact that I was holding my husband's hand through his last years?
Right.
So it's these are the things that we really have to, that's one of them. Um, the other thing, so the book is for
Before
everyone.
you go on that, and
Yeah.
I love that because I want to add something to that, and I love the way
Sure.
you position that, right? And you're right. I think we're always life is all about a choice and decisions, right? Just making the
Hmm.
decision. And I often tell people that the hardest thing is not making the decision. That's I think that's the easy part. You either do it or don't, right? You're gonna make the decision. I think what's hard or more difficult, right, is what's gonna come after I make the decision, the aftermath, right?
Hmm.
So making the
Hmm.
decision is the easy part. Doing what is gonna take after the fact is the hard part. And because of that, people do not make the decision, right?
Absolutely. Oh,
But
you
I
got
love how
that's
you
a great
position
point.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love how you position that. Now, I really enjoy that because now I can say, okay, well, let me think about it. Let me put myself in, 10, 15, 20 years, as you mentioned, and say, would that mean, in the future, will appreciate me making this decision and going through the trenches and going through all of the
Hmm.
difficult, challenging times. And if the answer is they're gonna appreciate that I didn't, then that just makes that process a lot better.
Yeah, but I love that part too, because everybody says, yeah, just make a decision.
Yeah.
Okay, based on what? Based on
Hmm.
what? You know, because as you just said, it's such a great point. If you don't mind, I'll
Yeah.
use it next week. I'm gonna have an interview at the NASDAQ studio in New York
Hmm.
City. So
Oh.
I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna
Yeah.
steal that a little bit because we we okay, so I made the decision, but then did I make the decision that is going to then give me the fuel? Did I make it out of love? Did I make it out of desire? Or did I make it out of need or lack?
Correct.
So, because if it's need or lack, I'm not going to be motivated to do it. But if I make the decision out of love, out of passion, we always say, oh, passion doesn't, no, passion. I had the passion for sports. I made a life of it,
Hmm.
a very, very lucrative life of it. My passion wasn't teaching at that time. I didn't know I'm going to be a teacher or I'm
Right.
going to be good at it. But that's perfect. The decision part is quite amazing.
No,
And then,
definitely.
yeah. So those are some of my main things. But there is, if you want me, I can tell some more examples from the book.
Yeah, I'd
Up to
love
you.
to hear at least one more. I think that they're huge for sure.
And then I would say the most important message that I'm trying to send people is that, yes, this is a self-help type of book too, but it's also a memoir. And I am
Okay.
really leading people through my life and in a funny way, by the way.
Yeah.
I am using that side of my normal self-deprecating humor that you must have to survive healthily in this world. So people are not gonna be bored. They're gonna cry, they're gonna laugh, and they're gonna learn. That's
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen. But one of them is I noticed in the last 20 or so years that I've been in that self-help industry
Hmm.
is that nobody ever taught us how to visualize properly. Properly.
Mm.
So one of the things I do in this book is, and I am very proud of it, and people were saying, well, why are you giving everything away? And then your people are not gonna wanna listen, get a course from you. I said, no, no, no. I'm giving everything away in this book. I will tell you exactly what I know, how to visualize on a way that first you need to clear out the doubt. Because when you visualize, oh, I'm gonna, and I love this about The Secret. The only thing they were telling us that, oh, and you close your eyes and you imagine that the millions are coming and blah blah blah, and at the same time you have, oh yeah, but those tail enders in the back of your thought,
Hmm.
but nobody in my family was a millionaire. Why would I think I will have a million when you understand? It's like
Hmm.
they're doing all these things, and they're just misleading the world. A
Hmm.
lot of things were
Agree.
good in The Secret, don't get me wrong. And I know
Agree.
it was not an intentional thing. But I went through millions of these courses, books, and movies, and every one of them had a little bit of pieces in it, but none of them had the complete package. And
Yeah.
the book has the complete package. And you need to know, you have to figure out what triggers you in this process. You have to figure out your fears and your doubts. Once you clear those things out, you have to figure out what is your zone of genius. What are you really good at? Because every one of us is really good at something. Even if you don't think you can make money on it, trust me, you can make an excellent living on it and you're going to be happy.
Right.
And then once you have all those that you love, your genius and so forth, and you clear that, that's when you can start visualizing. And even then, you will have the doubt sneaking in when you get to a certain part of the picture. And I
Hmm.
also teach everybody how to do it exactly line by line. And when you get to that point, you're still going to have a little bit of coming and going and a little bit of doubt. Okay, then use again the method that I'm teaching you in the book. Go back and clear it out. And then we go to the next step and the next step.
Wow, I love that. I love that. No, that's huge, and I love that. Um, Tell me a little bit about your coaching, right? So the coaching you have right now, is there one is it for anybody that wants to maybe work with you? So who can work with you? Number one, number two, tell me a bit about the how you have that deployed and developed for people to
Okay.
be part of that.
So originally, I just quickly have to go back for 10 years ago when I started all this caring process, first my dad, then my mom, then my husband. So originally I did one-on-one coaching and it was very lucrative and
Yeah.
wonderful, but it's not for me. It's not for me. I
Hmm.
need the energy of a group. So what I do now is I am rebuilding that whole system.
Got it.
And I 100% prefer those kind of high achievers who don't just talk a big game but do the big game.
Hmm.
So in any kind of discovery call I have with sports teams, with corporations, with
Hmm.
any kind of business groups, it doesn't have to be a big corporation. It could be a business that has 15 people
Yeah.
and you need me to get them going. I have no problem with that, but I kind of need at least 10, 15 people for me to start to feel alive. And it would be
Gotcha.
much better and it's interestingly, I have just as much energy, if not more, for each individual person if I do it together in a group. It's weird.
That's a teacher in you.
Yes,
You're
that's
used
a
to that.
teacher in me.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly. It was
Yeah.
funny you should mention that because I had a golf coach because I got some of my championships in in a golf in
Yeah.
playing golf. And my golf coach was saying one time because he was always in his life was teaching one person and he had to start teaching in an academy like 20 people, 25. And I said, "Okay, let me show you how it's done." And they loved it. A
Nice.
lot of work,
Yeah.
but it energizes you the same as much as it's energy that's taken out of you. So
Yeah.
that's what I usually work with, high achieving people that have specific goals that they want to reach in life.
Yeah.
So if we discover, for example, I did a presentation for realtors last a couple years ago, and that was the specific issue was the hardship of trying to stay quote unquote a nice person but still bringing in the money. So we were discussing all the elements of that. So there's a human element to everything, but I need people that actually gonna do the job. So I don't even take on clients that
Hmm.
I don't know that I because you can see it. You can see if
Yeah.
somebody's gonna do it or not.
Right.
Like the decision that you mentioned. You
Right.
make a decision, but will you do the work
Correct. Yeah.
after that?
Exactly. Yeah.
So those are
100%.
the and they can find me on KlaraGubacs.com
Yeah.
and they can just fill out the form and we have a call. I usually have calls set up and then I listen to what their needs are. Everything around communication, around performance strategy, around bringing your best when it counts. All that stuff is part of performance. I can help with that.
Gotcha. And so I would assume that once you have the discovery call, then that's more or less when you are able to determine, right, individually,
Yes.
hey, it seems like, for us to be able to achieve certain targets, whatever that may be, I'm just throwing numbers here, but hey, it'll be 1 month or 3 months or two, whatever that period of time that I'm be working with you, right?
Yes.
It's all different and tailored to each specific case.
Yes. So my love is to, and this at this point in my life, I will only do what energizes me. And I know it
Gotcha.
sounds like I am some big shot, but I tell you, at 57, after what I accomplished and what I've gone through, I'm only going to do things that make me happy and
Yeah.
healthy.
I
because
love
my
that.
health is my number one concern now.
Yeah.
So my strategy would be to have athletic directors um, calling me, or human resource managers from either companies or any kind of environment call me in and say, listen, we want to pay you to speak to our group of 20, 30, 40, 100,
Hmm.
and then we'll discover what the problems are. I speak to them. I address each of those issues, just like I did with the New York Giants. I
Yep.
literally took their problems apart. They were
Hmm.
like, they started out like this with their
Yeah.
with their arms
Right.
closed. Like, what
Exactly.
the hell is this chick wants? Eight
Yeah.
men,
Yeah.
What does she want? And then after like in 20 minutes of me showing them what the problems are, they like started to open up their arms and they started to look at my folder and was like, okay, I got
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. I would take apart what the problems are.
Yeah.
I am a no nonsense person. I am not going to sugarcoat things, because if you want to achieve things, we are not going to be nice. We're going to
Yeah.
be fair, but not like, oh, I'm holding.
Right.
No. And we're going to accomplish it. And then we set specific goals with the team. And then we can have weekly meetings online. I can even go once a month to visit, depending on obviously what price point we agree on, because obviously the investment is going to set how much time I can spend with them personally.
Yeah. Like you said, you're not there to tell them what they want to hear. You're there to tell them what they need to hear, right? And that's a big
Exactly.
difference. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Um,
And I
it,
don't even want to speak with people who want me to tell them what they want to hear, because those are the motivational speakers.
yeah, right.
They
Yeah,
motivate, they may even inspire, but then that motivation expires
right,
in like a week or two.
right. Yeah,
Not with me.
yeah, for sure. I love that. Clara, question for you. Obviously, you're still very active. Talk to me a little bit about the things you do on a day-to-day basis to kind of keep you up and going and putting you in this a positive state of mind.
Well, one of the things I do is I put my word out through podcasts like yours.
Hmm.
I try to find all the opportunities to speak to people to change their lives, and that motivates me tremendously. As I said, there's not a stage I don't love.
Yeah,
So that this conversation today is gonna kick me into high energy for the rest of the
I
day.
love
First
that.
of all, you are an excellent question, excellent host, and you have a great message, so a great personality. So you get me going for the whole
Yeah,
day. So thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
The second thing is that I do some kind of physical activity every day. Let it be walking, let it be rolling, let it be Pilates, let it be fitness every day. I try to do my tennis. I haven't done tennis and some of those sports in many years because of my husband. So I'm
Hmm.
going back to my sports now.
Yeah.
Love my golf, but I didn't get to do that either more than once a month with my favorite golf girls.
Okay.
But I am building that back into my life.
Yeah.
And then the most important thing I do every day, rain or shine, is meditate in the morning and meditate at night.
Okay. I love that.
Because that meditation, I don't know if you heard the story with the Dalai Lama,
Hmm.
but it was very interesting because I usually meditate at least 30, 40 minutes a morning. And they asked the Dalai Lama, that, how much do you usually meditate? And he says, well, about 2 hours every morning and some in the evening. And he says, but when I'm really busy, I meditate about 4 hours. And they were
Hmm.
like, wait a minute. When you're really busy, that's when you meditate more? He said, yes, because that's when I really have to be focused, when I have a really important decisions to make. So we always think that, oh, I don't have time for meditation. Yes, you make time for meditation, because that morning half hour, I
Hmm.
get out of bed. I don't get out of bed. I stay in bed. And that morning half hour, just say, okay, what's the day look like? And I ask for a great day. I forgive myself in the morning already
Yeah.
if I make any mistakes during the day. I accept whatever comes in my way. If it's only one thing I accomplish that day, which is also very important, you should never have a long list. Never
Mm.
have the one thing. And then if you can accomplish more, great. But you have to set your body in a success mode. And if
Mm.
I have 10 things on my list, on my thing, to-do list, no way that in one day I'm going to get through all 10.
Right.
So I'm already setting myself up for failure. But if I say, this is the one thing today, and then you set it up for every day, there's the one most important thing. You do that one thing, check, you feel good. And the rest is addition.
Yeah.
And trust me, I have 20 things a day. Probably you do too.
Yeah.
But I'm not allowing my own mind to set me up for failure.
I
That's
love
how I
that.
start the morning. And
Yeah.
then the evening is actually, I set up my next day in the evening. Because in the evening, I forgive myself for anybody, if I possibly hurt anybody, forgive myself for not completing something. And I'm setting out, I clear all this garbage. I call it mental dental cleaning.
Hmm.
I clear out all this garbage at night. I accept that there's nothing else I can do tonight. And it increased my sleep quality by 100%.
I love that. Okay.
So
I love that.
these are the
Yeah.
little things I do.
Yeah, and again, those little things are the things that count. And again, I go back to this idea that unfortunately many do not do the little things, right? Because they feel like
Yep.
they're not that important, right? And they forget that those are things that probably count the most when you actually are committed to doing that on a consistent basis, day in and day out. And I know, I'm sure you go through this too. Like sometimes life happens, and we might miss one day. Except we go back to it the day after, right? Or the
Mhm.
following day. A lot of people just miss one day. I'm like, all right, I'll come back to it in 5 days or 6 days, right?
Yes,
And so,
exactly.
yeah. And so,
Yeah,
no,
but do
I
you
love it.
miss, and that's why I say the mental dental clean, because how long do you go without brushing your teeth?
Really, you try to do it every day.
Okay, that's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mental cleaning and dental cleaning is the same exact thing,
I love that. Yeah.
you know? I
100%.
mean, in your case, it's not a good example, but people usually do brush their hair every day.
Exactly. Right.
You may
Exactly.
have to, you may have to, cut your hair, but whatever you
Yeah.
call it,
Shave it. Yeah.
shave
Exactly.
it. But you got to do something. There are certain
100%.
things you got to do something every day. This
Yeah.
is something you have to do every day.
Right. No, I love that. Definitely. Talk to me about where they can find you and connect with you.
Okay, so the best way is claragubach.com, KLARAGUBACS.com. It's the best because I have my book there right now. We are rebuilding the website, so I
Okay.
have my book right now, and also there's a way to contact me.
Okay.
Okay, and that's the best way at this moment is through email, and my phone number is there as well. And you just write down what you're interested in doing, how can I help? And so it's claragubach.com. That's the
Got you.
best way.
And
And
people
of
want to
course,
pick.
I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook, I am on
Yeah.
YouTube, blah, 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 blah.
All that stuff. Yeah, for sure.
And next week they can see me from Eastern Time, 12 to 12:30 on NASDAQ channel from the market. So
Got you. Okay, awesome. And if people want to pick up your book through your website, or they can go to Amazon too and get that from you.
Amazon, yes,
Okay,
it's
got you.
website or Amazon, whichever they want.
Got
Yes.
it.
And
Awesome.
I'm really looking for anybody who leaves me a review and let me know that they left a review, they get a signed copy of the hard copy version.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's
I love
that's
it.
my incentive.
Got you. I love that. Okay, good, good, good. And then talk to me a little bit about people that are watching us or are listening to us. If they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing or a few things they can start doing now to start overcoming that challenge?
Well, that's an interesting question because it will bring us back. It will bring us back to the decision
Mm-hmm.
because challenge comes from two things. One is there is a life situation, not your life. Your
Mm-hmm.
life is not the challenge. I learned this from Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
It's a life situation.
Okay.
And that life situation, the first part of your challenge is how do you see it? So if you see it, if you recognize this as a challenge and not as an opportunity, the first step you can do to build yourself up and to not have all your energy sucked into it is to see what could be possibly the opportunity in this challenge.
Mm.
So when I had to shut everything down and focus on my husband, I had to completely refocus my because that is a challenge. That's an
Yeah.
everyday. challenge. With a
Right.
dementia patient, it's an everyday challenge. So what kind of opportunities can it bring out in me? And the funny thing is, for example, one of the opportunities I found is I have to live a lot more in the now with a husband that used to hurt him. He was always three, four. He was absolutely brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
financially in every ways. He was always two, three steps ahead of everything. And with this situation, we could only live in the now, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So the opportunity was in here that, okay, I had to completely reframe my mind because I did not know if in the next minute I'm going to be at home or in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to enjoy that very moment with him so much more. And because of this was vascular dementia, any stroke could have taken him at any a minute. I had to also find that the challenge in that it becomes an opportunity is to really enjoy every minute. So
Yeah.
that's one. So what that challenge is a life situation. Okay, so you can look at the life situation from many different perspectives.
Okay.
I even recommend sometimes people to ask what would and either bring somebody in, two, three
Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
of your best friends or family members, or knowing your best friend's mentality or your family member's mentality. Here is the life situation. This is the challenge. How would Susie respond? How would Jack respond?
Mm.
How would, in my cases, believe it or not, how would Jesus respond? I
Yeah,
had that. I had that thing in me.
for sure.
How would Mother Teresa respond?
Mm-hmm.
Many times I was asking about that because she was caring for so many people.
Right.
Doesn't mean that she was perfect. That doesn't, these are things don't matter.
Right.
How would that particular type of person that's different than me
Yeah.
would respond? And a lot of times I specifically asked people, this is my challenge. I didn't dramatize
Mm.
my challenge. I said, this is my situation.
Yeah.
How would you resolve it? And then suddenly things opened up for me.
Yeah. Got it.
I
I
would
love that.
highly recommend it to do that.
Yeah, I love that because I like I said, you're not adding more to it, and you're not being dramatic about it. You're stating the facts, and now you have different different point of views that now you can, like you said, it's gonna at least open up the idea to say, okay, I see how they handle that. Let me see if I can incorporate that. Does that make sense to me? Now you have a better because you're right. Normally, you're just you thinking about it, and you can get inundated with all those thoughts,
Mhm.
right? And so,
And also what you were saying before, and I think it's very important here, is that when you have a life challenge like this, the body feels threatened.
mhm,
And remember, I added to that that the
yeah,
identity is threatened.
right, yep,
So
yep,
one of the reasons why we spiral down is because that threat. Now, if I ask Jack, who has a completely different lifestyle, completely different identity, he's not gonna connect that to it. So he may have a much better outlook on the same challenge that I'm feeling.
yeah, for sure.
It's incredible how much those little. I had a caregiver. She's still my best friend, and completely opposite personality than mine. Completely opposite. And she helped me so much throughout this last 5 years she's been with us. She helped
Mm,
me through so much on this,
yeah, I love that. Yeah,
because I'm a problem solver
yeah,
and my husband is sick. I have to solve the problem and blah, 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 blah.
mm, yeah,
And she's like, no, there are certain problems that can be solved. There are certain problems that can be just eased.
mm, yeah,
And also that's another part with the challenge. There's three ways to approach everything. One is um, either this challenge is something that I can resolve and overcome,
okay.
then make the decision, as you said, and follow the
Hmm.
steps. Number two, this is a type of challenge that I could overcome. I don't really want to. Maybe I just have to let this go completely, this whole direction that I want to
Hmm.
go to.
Yeah,
And that was when I let go of my university job
yeah,
because I had a lot of challenges in there and it wasn't filling me up anymore. And I let go of it. And everybody said, are you nuts?
yeah,
It's guaranteed health care and blah, blah, blah. And you're letting it, yes, but that health care, I'm gonna need it because I can't handle it emotionally anymore, that whole thing.
right.
And the third version of handling a challenge is to say, okay, I accept it. I completely give myself to it. And that's what I ended up doing by shutting down the business. And I said, okay, the only way I can stay healthy and happy is if I completely give myself to caring for my husband. That
Yeah.
was the only option.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
You
that.
know, there's three different ways of handling. There's always three.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, and then at the end, like you said, that you create an action, right? There's something that's happening after the fact. The one thing that I will always tell people is, just make sure you use something. Don't do nothing, right? Because that's really
Oh, that's
when,
so important.
yeah.
You're absolutely right. How do you tell them that? Like what do you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to be a bit more depend on the situation, right?
Mhm,
Or the person that I'm speaking to, but I tend to really be very direct in terms of that. Like, if one of the questions that I ask is, if nothing changes and you don't do nothing change, you don't do nothing today, no change, nothing changes, what's gonna be the you of tomorrow? What's gonna happen, right?
mhm,
Well, no, well,
mhm,
my situation is gonna get worse, or I'm gonna be in the same place, or I'm still gonna be doing X, Y, and Z. Well, then there
mhm,
there you go. Then that's the answer. You gotta do
mhm.
something, because if you don't do nothing, you're not gonna get anything that's gonna help you move forward, right? So I always go back to that. Try to either be very direct and or start making them think. Well, if
Mhm.
nothing changed today, what's going to happen tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
and they're like, well, I'm going to be miserable, I'm going to be in the same place, I'm going to be living then, if that is that what you really want? No. Okay, well then let's make some changes, even if it's a small
Exactly.
change. Let's make a small change. Yeah.
Yeah. And the small change is also very important because oh my God, how do you eat an elephant? Bite by bite.
Correct. 100%. Yes.
Not that I
100.
want to eat an elephant because they are.
Yeah, no, definitely, no, 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 for sure. So, Dr. Clara, this is amazing. I really enjoyed this time. Any last minute things you want to say before I let you go?
Actually, I think that's the best thing. Now that you mentioned this, um, one of the other things I would always say when going back to challenge, because every day
Yeah,
is a challenge. Life is a challenge. That's another
correct.
thing I learned from Eckhart Tolle, is that
Hmm.
if you expect life to be easy breezy,
Yeah,
you're gonna be disappointed every single day.
correct.
Be
Yeah,
happy with those little moments when you feel really happy and really excited and really big, because unfortunately, that's what life is. I don't know why we were created to do this.
right.
But we are here. So
Hmm.
accepting the fact that life is a challenge
Yep,
will allow you to turn it into an opportunity.
correct.
That's
Yes.
what I feel.
Yep. No, definitely. Well, again, thank you again for being here. Really, really appreciate your time and everything you had to share with the audience. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Cesar. Thank
Yeah,
you. It was fun.
definitely. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Make sure that you guys go ahead and check her out. And go to her website, get her book, connect with her, and do me a favor. Also, send this to somebody else, because I know somebody needs to hear this message. And I'll see you guys at the next episode of You Can Work on Anything Podcast Show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.